This is Dr. Rosie Kuhn, and this podcast series is called Spiritual Immersion, Taking the Plunge. And the intention of these podcasts is to support you and empower you to be stepping one little incremental step at a time, one choice at a time, to move towards and into who you are in your fullest expression as a divine human spirit. And so for me, this, you've heard me say perhaps that for me, this process has been a lifetime, but the last 10 years have been a significant journey, sort of an Olympic practice training, everyday kind of thing for me to come to this level of mastery, this level of presence, this level of fulfillment in my life. And it's a hard, grueling experience. And that's true whether you are wanting to master your any athletic endeavor, an Ironman or golf or bowling. It's a grueling training process. If you're academically inclined and want to, increase your capacities academically to get a master's or PhD in a field of your interest, there's a lot of gruelingness to the process. There's discipline, devotion, dedication. And without dedication, devotion, and discipline, you probably aren't going to get very far very fast. And there's no finish line in this case in terms of learning and engaging with who you are as a spiritual human being. There's no finish line. There's no finishing. There's only the practice of stepping into and exploring and discovering who you are in this human body and the fullest potential of that, who you are. So one of the things I would make clear over and over again is that the degree to which it's grueling, that this is hard work and takes a lot of training and dedication. A couple of my clients were saying, I forgot to do that, or I forgot to sit with that, or I keep forgetting to practice. And the importance of this process is to know that the degree to which you are interested in being fulfilled in this process is the degree to which you'll remember, or you'll train, or you'll find ways to remember, to practice. So for me, every morning I start with a dowsing clearing. We've talked about that I clear myself every day of energies and entities and beings and discordance and disturbances, whatever there may be in my fields that are interfering with my highest truth, in aligning with my highest truth, my highest knowing. I start with that, and then I start with some reading in Oneness, the book by Rasha, or The Course in Miracles, or David Hawkins, or whatever is with me. That helps me set the pace for the day. That helps me set the focus and the intention. It helps me see most often where I'm coming up against obstacles, or where I have a certain particular thought pattern or belief system that's interfering with me living in alignment with my truth and my highest potential. But it creates a lot of insights to read other people's work. But to do the work yourself is where you will notice things changing. So, for instance, I realized the degree to which this part of me that feels like a self-importance part, probably related to an ego element, but the self-importance part isn't interested in spiritual stuff. It's interested in being right and getting my way when I want it. And so in my reading, it's kind of comes up in my face in the way it does, and it's like, ooh, ow, that kind of, it wakes me up even more. But now I have to do something with that. I have to do something, as in engage with what's needed in order to dissipate that energy, to dissipate that way of being in the world. And I have to, one of the things I have to do is remember what my highest values are, what my highest trajectories are. And one of those is generosity of spirit. I want to be generous in my spirit all the time. And yet there's a part of me that is still feeling resentful and resistant, because sometimes I've been generous and people haven't appreciated me, or they took me for granted. So when I'm in a potential position to be generous of spirit, there's part of me goes, no, we're not going to do that. And it gets very resistant. And so I know that's a place to work. And so it's not just a matter of thinking it different. Oh, I'm just going to be different. And so it is. It takes a lot of energy to train myself to be present to the resistance and the hurt and the grief and the sadness and the anger that's within that resistance. So it's not just going, oh, I'm resistant, can't do it, or oh, I'm resistant, have to push harder. It's like, no, what's inside that resistance that creates the resistance? What's the source of the resistance? And then I can see, when I ask those kinds of questions, what's the source of that resistance? I see all the times where I've given something up for something greater, but never actually had to grieve that. I never grieved it. I never had to grieve it. I never thought to grieve it. And yet that grief is still there, or the anger is still there when someone took advantage of me. And so in the moments now where I'm working and practicing and engaging in the world in a way that, for me, wants to be more generous in my spirit, and as a resistance comes up, I don't go, oh, I better, whatever, just push through it. I have to sit and say, what is that? What part of me is still struggling with wanting to not be generous? So my point here is that it's a lot of work. And when we're listening to teachers tell us how simple it is, they sometimes forget everything they went through to realize how simple it is. We say it's simple but not easy. One of my clients mentioned Michael Singer, and that she's really listening to him and what he's saying. And one of the wonderful things about what she's hearing is, you can't just kind of get an insight and then go, oh, I know that, theoretically. You got to actually be in the work. And Michael remembers the work that he went through to get there. The endurance of staying present with yourself and staying present in the practice of listening to yourself, or listening to your higher self, or your lower self, if you will. Not your lower self, but your that part of you that I'm talking about, that self-important part that's mad and angry or resistant or indignant and righteous, and listening to all of us and saying, okay, you're trying to tell me something and I need to listen. So the teachers, quite often, we forget that the amount of work that we went through to get to the point where we're able to effortlessly be at a higher state of consciousness, or a higher state of generosity or kindness, compassion. It takes a lot of work. And sometimes in the teachings, this is, I think, really important, and if I haven't said it already, in the teachings, they're making it sound like, oh, here's the secret, just do this and you'll have it. So in the video or the book, The Secret, it's all about that. It's like, hey, it's easy. I just thought this, and then, I manifested it. But there's a lot more to that, and the undermining the reality that we've lived in and patterned in, and our cellular memory has an investment in this consensus reality. So for us to slowly but surely make headway through this, it takes a lot of, like I said, endurance and dedication and discipline. The most important thing for me was to keep remembering that there's that place that spiritual teachers get to, and it's not the arrival at enlightenment. It's just these places where there's an experience of a greater degree of awareness, a greater degree of love and compassion and kindness, a greater degree of generosity and spirit. And I knew that some people had that, and if they had it, then I could have it. And so I would listen to myself when I'm not in that place to say, how do I get there? I have to remember that place exists of love and light and compassion. that exists, and I want to be there. And so what do I need to let go of? What do I need to train myself to let go of so that I can have that? And little by little by little, I've gotten here. Wherever here is, I'm here. And so that's what I want for you. I want you to keep remembering that if you are in this process of a spiritual immersion, to know it is hard work, no matter who you are, and that you're not alone, because every one of us is doing it, and we have support and guides and coaches and therapists or spiritual directors who can support us in that. And we're all doing this work to one degree or another, and some of us are more conscious of it than others. And lastly, that's just all within you, and just to be patient with yourself and not beat yourself up, not make yourself wrong because you're not moving faster. I was in my 60s. Most of this time in this, the greatest degree of my work has been done in my 60s. And I'm going, why didn't it happen earlier? Why couldn't I have gotten it earlier? And it's like, it's because it doesn't. It's taken the time it's taken. It's all unfolding on its own timing, and not my timing, but the timing of the divine. And I have to keep remembering that and accepting that and being patient with myself. And one of the things that the Course in Miracles says is, hey, if this is hard for you, it's probably not time for you yet. Don't worry about it. Don't feel guilty or shame, or don't beat yourself up and say, but I should. Just know you're not ready yet. And it's all that kind of beautiful. It's like if you were, when a baby is, when a mother is impregnated with and is having a baby, that baby takes 9 months to be fully ready for coming into the world. And if it's not 9 months, it's not ready in its fullest capacity. Now, some babies are born earlier or whatever, but the point is it takes the time it takes to gestate. And if you're not ready, you're still in that gestation or incubation stage of growing what's needed to grow to get you to the next moment of choice making, where you can say, yes, I'm ready today, or I'm ready to do this, but not that. And it's all self-empowered, and it's all grace, and it's all on divine timing. And I hated people hearing people say that as much as I just hated hearing people say that. So if you hate hearing me say that, I totally get it. But that's part of that. It's easy. It's just all in divine timing. And you go, crap. I don't want to hear that. I want it now. I want it now. And that's that ego part, that says, I want it, and I want it my way, and I want it on my timing. It doesn't always work that way, especially when it comes to cultivating a relationship with our spiritual self. So that's pretty much it for today. Again, this is grueling, difficult work, but if you're dedicated and you experience the positivity of this and know the positivity of learning who you are and growing, then there's so much richness in this process, and I offer that to you. If you need support, love support, I'm open to doing coaching, and so give me a call or email me at rosie@theparadigmshifts.com. If you haven't been to my website yet, that's theparadigmshifts.com. I have a lot of books and blogs and videos, and also information about coaching and coach training. So feel free to visit me there. All right, big hugs. Bye for now.